I could eat that girl for lunch. I wonder if she's talking about Taylor Swift. Phineas 1, Antonov 0. You need a seat, I'll volunteer. Been trying hard not to overeat. Jesus. Raunchy. The voice of Generation Alpha, Billie Eilish, is back, with her third studio album, Hit Me Hard and Soft. This comes approximately 3 years after Billie's sophomore album, Happier Than Ever, which was killer by the way. Billie's been on a very similar trajectory to Dua Lipa over the past 3 years. They both overcame that dreaded second album syndrome, smashing it out the park, with Happier Than Ever being a 16-track epic that saw Phineas progress his production style with more emotive and denser compositions, and Billie take her range of vocal styles to the next level. It was a belter, you could say. And over the past few years, Billie's had quite the ride. A sellout world tour, tracking the James Bond track No Time to Die with Hans Zimmer and Johnny Marr, and releasing an EP called Guitar Songs, which gave us some exceptional stripped back acoustic ballads. But given she's been so busy over the past 3 years, are her and Phineas's creative juices finally beginning to run dry on this third album? Let's explore this, shall we? Hello everybody, if you are new to the channel, welcome. I'm Sanjay, a PowerPoint monkey by day, and a home studio musician by night. So, first impressions of the album. The album is 10 songs, which feels almost refreshing in 2024. Quality, not quantity. I reckon Taylor could learn a thing or two from Billie on this one. A lot of these songs are quite long as well. It almost feels as if Billie and Phineas are battling against this TikTok generation and giving us actual fully formed songs on the album. 4 to 5 minutes of a real sonic journey, not just a copy and pasted beat with a single hook for 2 minutes and call it a day. This is a good sign. Another key theme of the album is their conscious effort to use live instrumentation, people actually playing real instruments, which I think oddly is also refreshing in an age where literally everything just seems to be programmed. I am interested to see the results of this, so let's go through the album track by track, because let me tell you, I think this album deserves this level of attention. So, the opener, Skinny. Right away, Billie seems to be addressing some pretty difficult topics here. If I was to guess, in this one, she's addressing how the media reacted to how her appearance changed during the recording and the subsequent release of Happier Than Ever. She lost some weight, and certain things developed as they do when you become a woman. And by proxy, the kind of things that you want to wear, how you want to be seen, your general appearance just changes as you get older. My main takeaway on this one though, is that Billie sounds much older and more mature than her years. It's a really emotional and almost melancholic opener on this album. It sets the tone for a more grown-up and reflective Billie, in my opinion. And it kind of reminds me of The Car by Arctic Monkeys, opening with a song that sounds cinematic yet melancholic and bittersweet at the same time, in There'd Better Be a Mirrorball, a song that sets the tone for the rest of the album. Phineas has scored a really nice string outro on this one as well. I just love how he's taking what he's learnt with Hans Zimmer and applying it to a pop record. Great to see. So Billie clearly approaches some difficult topics on this album with sincerity, like we saw on Skinny, but other times she approaches them with humour and wit, like we see on the song Lunch. I just love this tune. The lyrics on Lunch are really witty and playful, and most are X-rated, so I'll avoid reading them out. The drums do hit really hard on this one, and Billie's vocal delivery just has so much attitude, it's great. Production wise though, it's quite interesting. There are 2 guitars, one in the left ear and the other in the right ear, that work really well together. Although the song does feel a little bit sparse for me. I'd have expected more chordal information coming from Billie's voice on this one, since that's where it usually comes from on her songs with her vocal harmonies. But for me it just feels like the song is a little bit light in the mids, and I know that's historically been Billie's style, but on this one it feels like it just needs a bit more intensity or a bit more punch in the mids for me. Maybe another guitar part should come in after the first chorus, I don't know. My favourite part of the production, without a doubt though, is when that deep synth comes in at about 2.5 minutes in. And you have to really listen on good speakers to actually hear this, because there's a lot of sub-frequencies that you just don't hear in AirPods. And the sound reminds me of the kind of thing that Kevin Parker would do. Billie also uses her breath like an instrument like MJ in this one, to add another rhythmic element in the song, almost like a piece of percussion. Overall, great track, love it, just feels a little bit sparse in certain sections for me. Okay, Chihiro is a real journey. Probably my favourite song on the album. It's like an actual, proper song. Like, it really goes places. I love the super catchy bass line that you can tell has been played and not programmed in. And just going back to that general point that I made before about the album having live instrumentation and actual players on it, I think the result is a bass line that has actual groove and real humanity to its playing. And again, that synth part that gets introduced after that initial hook puts you in some sort of trance. It's almost hypnotic sounding. So much happens in these 4 minutes, it's so well crafted. Birds of a Feather is just another step change on the album, and quite a refreshing change of pace. We go from a dancier, spaced out, almost hypnotic vibe on Chihiro to a more nostalgic vibe. And the instrumental sounds like it's almost yearning for something that's not there anymore, underpinned by that very first line that Billie sings, "I want you to stay." And it's always a pretty magical thing when the instrumental captures the feeling of the lyric. The best songs are when this happens. And on this song, the lyrics and the instrumental just fit like a jigsaw. We also have what sounds like real drums again, great groove and really well played. You know what, maybe this one is my favourite song on the album. I do love it. Okay, moving on to Wildflower, and this one is another great example of Billie and Phineas choosing not to follow traditional pop production rules. We have a 7th chord in this song. When was the last time you heard a 7th chord in a modern day pop production song, like one from Taylor Swift or something? Again, fantastic writing here, and it takes us somewhere else yet again. The chorus for me has a really interesting jazz inspired motif, and not to get on the bandwagon and bash Taylor Swift's Tortured Poet again, but that album is literally like the same 4 chords most of the way through. And some of the songs are some of the most uninspiring songs that I've listened to in a while. And when you listen to that and then listen to Billie's album, they're just a world apart. Billie's album is so careful, considered, tasteful, and just takes you somewhere new with every song. Every song so far has offered a different experience for the listener. The next song on the album, The Greatest, sees Billie continue to address her anxieties over her body image, perhaps a bit more on the nose this time with lyrics such as "All the times I waited for you to want me naked." The way she sings this song for me is just generally just like an artist that's way beyond her years. Her voice sounds so effortless, and the build in this song, like with many of the others, is really well executed yet again. When the drums come in, the song just opens up and it sounds grand and expansive. One thing I did find really interesting with this one, the strings that we heard in the first track on the album, Skinny, do reappear. And The Greatest and Skinny seem to be covering a similar lyrical theme, so maybe they're connected in some way. L'amour de Vame, excuse my French, which translates into Love of My Life, sees the album take a bit more of a jazzy turn. And instead of Billie dipping her toe in to the jazz world this time around, she jumps straight in. I'm almost getting Amy Winehouse vibes in a way with this track. But then there is possibly the strangest transition I've ever heard in a song. And it's 100% the biggest change in sound that we hear on the album. It goes into full-on 90s dance pop, like jazz into full-on 90s dance pop. Reminds me of Believe by Cher. Do you believe in life after love? What a strange song. Don't know if it works yet, but it's certainly imaginative. And yet again, the album takes another strange and unexpected turn on the next song, The Diner. The beat on The Diner, according to my partner, sounds like pirate pop. Whatever that is, I've not really explored that genre too much, to be honest. The song for me though sounds like Arabian Nights from Aladdin. And the song for me just encompasses why the album should be called Hit Me Hard and Soft. Because it hits us hard and soft, quite literally. The changes in each song are quite something. Sometimes soft to loud, sometimes upbeat to almost disturbing and sinister sounding, like on this next one, Bittersweet. Bittersweet takes the album on another jazzier turn, but the song actually starts off with these almost 80s sounding Kevin Parker-esque synth pads, and then it becomes a jazz song, and then it turns really eerie out of nowhere. The album closer, Blue, is an interesting one as well. When you actually read the lyrics on this one, it actually name checks several lyrics on other songs on the album. I thought we were a bird of a feather, open up the door, etc, etc. Don't know really what that means yet. Any ideas, comment below. And the upbeat part of this song is very short-lived, like it tends to be in real life, I guess. Good times always feel short-lived, as they say. Time flies when you're having fun. Then there's yet another mood shift, and an almost oriental feel about the rhythm or the groove on this one. The strings that we heard at the start of the album then return to close the album out. A grandiose and very cinematic album closure. What an absolute whirlwind. So this album just has so much to it. And I think, to be honest, I have to listen at least a couple more times to really try and understand what's going on here, especially to give a final verdict on the album. But from the first few listens, it does sound like Billie and Finneas have smashed it again. The album just challenges the listener constantly. And every song is on the album for a reason. Every song brings something new or different to the album, and every song gives us a memorable moment. I hate to say it, but it is kind of the polar opposite of Taylor Swift's new album, where every single song does sound the same, and I'd be hard pressed to tell you the name of one versus the other because they just have all merged into one long, boring listen. In fact, the more I think about it, the more I think Billie and Finneas have been inspired by how Arctic Monkeys approach their albums. Hear me out. They decided on no singles and just to drop the album in a single go, to try and encourage people to listen from start to finish without just listening to the singles. Just like Arctic Monkeys pioneered with Tranquility Base, Hotel and Casino. The album also has only 10 songs, 10 great songs, just like The Car. Each with a different sound, style and purpose, just like The Car. And the cinematic feel of the album, just like The Car. And the clever and selective use of strings only on some songs, just like The Car. Okay, I'm just messing, but you can't deny that there are certain parallels between how these two albums have been approached. Plus, Finneas is apparently a big fan of the band, so you never know. Production-wise though, the variety of skills and techniques on this album is just so impressive. This album could only have been produced by someone that has had the learning experience that Finneas has had. From making tunes in his bedroom for Billie, to producing for other pop artists, to working with Hans Zimmer and Johnny Marr from the Smiths on James Bond, to then learning how to score his own string sections. It's just amazing. What a talent, and it's just great to see him lifting from those experiences and applying it to his own productions, to try and push the boundaries of what pop music is and what pop music can be yet again. Finneas won, Antonov 0. For me, this album deserves more than an AirPods listen on your next commute, and I think that's why Billie released the whole thing in full. It deserves a proper, attentive listen. Buy it on vinyl, put it on your record player, turn the speakers up loud, sit on the sofa and just enjoy. From start to finish, more importantly, in the way that the album was intended to be listened to. And with that said, do share your thoughts on what you thought of the album in the comments below. I am keen to know what everyone thinks of this album just because it is so wacky. If you did enjoy this video, please do give it a like, it does really help the channel out. Subscribe if you're new. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I will see you very, very soon. But when can I hear the next one? 5 and you know it's true.